So this is a question I hear often enough, and I thought I would share my story about how I got started in real estate photography. So it was actually back in 2012. I was living in Kelowna, BC at the time. Airbnb was a fledgling company, and the Okanagan, where Kelowna is, was a destination for the area. I had my work shared online at various photo sharing platforms like Flickr and 500px. And one day a rep from Airbnb reached out. They had identified me as a photographer who could shoot their homes. And at that time, hosts had no professional photos, rarely if ever. And Airbnb, in order to drive more traffic to their homes, would pay for local photographers that they'd keep on contract that would help the marketing of these properties that otherwise wouldn't be investing in the professional photography. So in retrospect, I wasn't paid well, but it was good experience, and I was happy at the time to have someone sourcing my jobs that were pretty quick and easy to do otherwise. There wasn't a ton of guidance about how to shoot at that time. I was mixing it up between pure HDR and flash photography, off-camera flash. I was syncing a lot of stuff and seeing the merits of both, but I was unable to blend them together easily at the time the way that people sometimes do now with Flambient and other hybrid technology or hybrid blending methods. One thing that we were recommended at that time was that people staying, given you were staying in someone's home, I was always to ask if the host wanted a portrait in their guest space. So how often do you see that now where a host portrait shows up in the Airbnb feed? Also around that time, I was shooting pool installations in multi-million-dollar homes, tucked in the mountains for a well-known local pool company. And that also was some of my early property photography experience, though a slightly different nature than interiors. It was mostly the landscapes and exteriors type stuff. But it was still, useful, I would say. So fast forward a few months, I was still taking Airbnb jobs and pool installs, but I was also hosting a stall for local artwork at our farmers market in Kelowna, which was its own good gig for various reasons, one of which being the connections you'd make and stuff like that. Maybe a subject for another video. But anyways, I was stopped by a realtor and, hey, can you shoot homes? I had a little bit of experience, but not that much. In any case, I was happy to entertain his idea. And, I still remember to this day, more than 10 years later, when he asked me my turnaround time on the spot, I was thinking 2 to 3 days was fast. And he basically balked at it, which was a little bit of a wake-up call for what was to come. Because if you're already in real estate photography, you know that one of the biggest challenges is timelines and meeting those expectations. There are a few other fields of photography where you need to get these print perfect photos ready for marketing in so little time. I'd say the standard expectation now is the next morning, and at that time it probably wasn't quite as quick, but still 2 to 3 days seemed like a lot. So about 2 years later or so, I was leaving Kelowna for Ontario, and I had a little break from shooting homes specifically while I made some new connections in the area and settled down. I was still shooting, obviously, just didn't make many realtor connections right away. So the first realtor I got started with was around Wyerton and Sauble Beach area in Ontario, which was, they were pretty busy and gave me a bunch of work. It was also becoming more common to see 360 photos on request, and my first few video tour experiences came around this time. I already had video experience through weddings and other gigs, and I was just working out how the typical home tour should flow at that time and, my own workflow for making those effectively. You can actually find one of my older real estate video tours as an example. It's got, I don't know how many thousand views now here on YouTube. But yeah, I'll link that in the description below. So I was steadily improving my craft and my workflow and my understanding of the business when I eventually moved to Collingwood, Ontario. And at that time I was starting a new family, and that was kind of our settle down location. So Collingwood and the Blue Mountains has been a hub of local growth in the real estate market, which provided ample opportunities to work on my photography in real estate specifically. So fast forward to today, I've got thousands of properties photographed, videoed, floor planned, drone, virtual staged, and whatever else. including several video tutorials on the matter here on YouTube and lots of big bright plans for a future in the growing field of property marketing. I never thought that 10 years ago I'd have as in-depth of a workflow as I built for myself today, let alone the experience or local reputation for that matter. So in summation, I would say the most important aspects of growing a business in this field are: number one, work with your clients, never against them. I too often see advice circulating in online photographer forums that has very anti-client mentality. Find your place in any team and, do that well. And if you're not fitting into a particular team, maybe it's a good time to reevaluate that situation. So be flexible with trends in technology, get ready for changes in your field and expectations. So AKA go with the flow. I was in some small way opposed to, at one point or another, both iGuide, floor plans, and drone. And now years later, they are both valuable aspects of my business because I can be flexible and adjusted my angle of attack. So in working with your clients, they'll be happy to share your name in their circles. This is by far the best way to get work. I've never spent a penny on advertising real estate photography and have always had the opportunity to fill a calendar 8 days a week for years now, solely because my clients share my name as someone who is good at what they do and easy to work with, I believe. So that's my real estate photography journey and story. Hopefully it gave you a little bit of insight in some way and a couple quick tips in there. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you at the next one.